Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, and coming on down to Contestants Row, we have the one and only social media director of Uriah Heep, Dave White. Dave, how are you?
Hello, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing great, my friend. How are you?
Pretty good. It's a cold Wednesday. It's 43 in Ohio today. That's pretty cold for this time of year.
That is nuts. It according to my weather app, and I didn't go outside, so I don't know, but according to my weather app, it was 91 degrees here today.
That's what we had over the weekend. It was really hot over the weekend. In the last 3 days, it just plummeted. So 74 and sun tomorrow, but right now it's 43, and I'm down in the basement, and I'm freezing. I'll have to turn up the heat eventually. That's
such a drastic temperature drop all of a sudden, though.
I know. It's that time of year. And it's a drag because you really can't plan for anything.
Well, you can plan for the bar.
You can plan for the bar. That's right. That's right. You can plan for the bar, and you can plan for the Haskin podcast.
That's right.
That's right.
That's absolutely right. You know, I just did an interview with Jack Denton, who is a musician that I met through Steve Weltman, who managed Ken and Lee Kerslake and manages Paul Newton. And he actually played with Ken Hensley on some stuff. So we talked about that in the interview that I did with him on the Haskincast podcast. Really cool guy, had some great memories of Ken. That was a nice surprise.
Very cool. Very cool. Did he mention us? Did he mention me? Did he mention you?
He didn't, but he didn't know me prior to the interview.
No worries. I'm just giving you that.
So I'm not surprised, but that would have been nice.
Sounds like a fun interview, though.
Yeah, I had a great time talking to him. Really cool guy. Nice band out of England, just getting ready to release their first album this summer. So going to keep track of their progress.
How old is he roughly?
He had to be early 20s, I think.
Oh, he's young.
Yeah, wow. Real young.
I'm only 14, so he's older than me, but he's young.
If he's not in his early 20s, he's holding up incredibly well, I'll say.
Awesome.
Today we're talking about the song Look at Yourself, the live version from Live in 73. But Dave, before we get into that, there is something that has been missing from this show because, you know, the last season I just merged all the interviews, the Heap-related interviews over from the Haskincast podcast. And this season we've been doing the live album, and I didn't know what days the episodes were going to come out. So I did not thank our patrons.
I noticed. I heard on Monday. I was surprised at that. I was going to mention to you. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't. Well, I had forgotten about it because of the last season. And I thought, okay, I'm just uploading the episodes, and then I realized it. I'm like, okay, when's the next Monday episode going to be? And it is this one. So before we dig into the song, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to our patrons. At the $5 Easy Living tier, we have Kenny Wymore and Brad D. At the $3 The Wizard tier, we have Peter Voss, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, and William Rose. And then at the $1 Traveler in Time tier, like a father protecting his daughter on a prom date, Airtight Gravesite. Thank you guys very much. That money means a lot to me. It helps pay for the fees that I have to pay to keep this show live.
That is awesomely well done. Well done. I was going to say something, as you know, I listen to every show that you do.
Yes.
And Mondays came around. I was like, what did you forget? Wow, Scott forgot the patrons.
I'm getting old.
Now you're not. It was just a Monday. You succumbed to a Monday.
I did. And it's not the first time that has happened to me. Although I've been pretty consistent, I think, over the course of the show. But I think what threw me off was that interview season.
Yeah, probably.
Where I had just uploaded it and just done those quick intros. And then after that, I've been off my game. But I'm back now. Damn it.
Outstanding. Hopefully when the album comes out, you won't do this again.
No, I'm sure I'll be back in the groove whenever that happens. Also, I want to thank Podbean, the host of the show, CAKEWALK, the digital audio workstation that I record and edit the podcast in, my friends at Audionamix, who, of course, I will not do a podcast without Instant Dialog Cleaner, my graphic artist, Scott Ladzinski, iZotope for their D-Click, which is the coolest thing, And also, I want to thank Dave White. Oh, wait, you're right here. Hey, thanks, Dave, for all that you do for the show, for the websites. You really do a lot of work for the band.
My pleasure, Scott. My pleasure.
And we will be talking about the websites in an upcoming episode. But for now, we're going to get into this song, Look at Yourself. What are your feelings about this one?
Absolutely love it. It's a really good version of this song. I think it kept all the energy a little fast, like I think it should be. So they didn't slow it down, I don't think, which is good. A lot of energy, a lot of, interestingly enough, a lot of parts where Ken and Mick are playing the same thing, which they haven't done so far on these songs. Not even Easy Living. There are quite a few little things they do together. Sometimes in harmony and sometimes the same notes exactly, but it's kind of cool. I love the song Gary Things Right On. Lee has a really good part, and you'll probably get into that part because the drumming's a big deal in this song. And Mick finally gets to cut loose, yeah.
In the original version, of course, it was Ian Clark, I believe, that was the drummer on Look at Yourself. And
Osabisa.
And Osabisa did all the additional percussion at the end. Right. I would have loved to have been in the studio for that. That must have been a fun jam.
I'm sure it was.
Of course, they could have been recorded separately.
I'm sure they were.
But yeah, very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how they pull that off live and what this song is, because this is a real barn burner. I mean, it's got a lot of energy to it. It's a double shuffle, which is always nice. I think this might be the first double shuffle that the band did. I'll have to look back through the songs, but it could be.
You may be right. I thought Easy Living had a little bit of that in there, but I could be mistaken.
Well, Easy Living was on Demons and Wizards, though that didn't come until after Look at Yourself. So, like, just thinking chronologically through the albums, I think this might be the first one the band did.
Okay.
Yeah, not on the live album, of course. On the live album, because we're already on what is this, track 9. So we're well past Easy Living, but yeah, very interesting. Let's check out the song. There is a nice long intro. So here's a great time to just grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and enjoy the warm-up.
Keep clapping your hands. Hey. Hey. Yeah.
You know, at first I was thinking that felt a little bit Southern rockish until I realized that this is, Traveler in Time?
The intro, you mean?
Yeah, well, that little lick that Mick is playing is the end of Traveler in Time.
Okay. I didn't catch that, but all right.
Wait, is that right? Is that the right song? Let's see. Let me continue it and let me know if you think that's what it is. Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking Traveler in Time. But that's kind of weird because they played that earlier in the show. Unless this is from a different night.
I don't remember. I think this is a different night anyways, actually. It sounds different to me. We talked about that earlier. Doesn't it sound different to you?
It does have a different sound to it, yeah. Let's see where it goes.
And can we try and get everybody just to stand up for 1 minute and clap their hands with us? All you people sitting up there, just asking you for 1 minute to stand up and clap. Help us out for 1 minute. Come on, Birmingham. All you people here, nearly everybody. Everybody. Beautiful. All right, now, look at yourselves. Come on.
Okay, well, it sounds like they're about to get into the song, but before we hear what they do with the song, this is a long intro. This is really getting the crowd warmed up. It feels like this is something they might have done earlier in the set.
Yeah, it could be. I recognize what you're talking about now, about Traveler in Time. Yeah, that little lick is in there, that little three note thing where it goes up and down. Yeah, this is a long intro, and they're winding them up, It's just crowd participation time.
Yes.
I think the crowd knew what was coming, too.
Really? I wouldn't have guessed.
I think so.
What's interesting about having a warm-up like this with just a straight, bass drum beat is that the beat to the song is completely different. So, normally when you do this kind of thing, you're going into a song that has a straight beat, but to go from this into a double shuffle is kind of an odd transition.
And Mick's about as quiet as he could be and still be heard. There's no distortion on. There's a very quiet wah. I think the amp's up all the way, but his guitar's turned way down. Because when it comes on, as you'll hear, he goes into full blown mode. And I think he used to use a Marshall Governor is what it's called. If they had them back then, that's what he would have used.
Mm-hmm.
He's not there yet. Right now, it's really quiet and airy sounding. I like it.
Yeah, it's a different tone for him because I'm not used to hearing such a clean sound coming from him. And I think that's part of what threw me off in the opening of it was at first it felt a little bit Southern, but it was such a different sound. I think that threw me off a little too.
One of the parts of that intro that I always remembered when Gary came in, he kind of came in a month or two early or far too early. I think he was trying to hear himself, just make sure they could be heard before the song actually started.
Right.
He came in with the bass for about 2 seconds and then backed out again.
Kind of like when Ken was setting the tuning on his organ on another song.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same kind of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, let's kick this into the next gear. Boy, that is such a strong organ sound, and I love those little fill-ins that Ken's doing in my ear.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, too. He's really freewheeling this one. The organ sounds a little different. Mick sounds very different than it goes on the beginning parts of his album right now. So I really think this is a different mic setup or different placement on the speaker box or a whole different night or something because he sounds different. It doesn't return to what it used to sound like, but I like this sound for this song. It really gave a uniqueness to this version. I like it.
I think it definitely works. I think that balance might be a little keyboard heavy right now. I'm having a harder time hearing Mick than I am Ken. Hopefully that'll balance out throughout the song. But yeah, it does sound like it's from a different night. And again, why would they have played a lick from Traveler in Time if they'd already played it earlier in the set?
I agree.
You know, this has to be from a different night. Or maybe earlier in the next night too, because like I said, this is probably like 3 or 4 songs in. Crowd's kind of like, okay, we're into it. Now we're settled and we need something to get us back up on our feet again. So then they do that crowd-oriented opening and just get everybody back stomping their feet.
Because they just went through 3 12-minute songs or 2 9-minute songs and an almost 12-minute song.
Really, that's true. That's very true.
Something short and sweet, but really kick ass.
And that's exhausting for an audience, too, to just be focused for that long. Of course, I don't know what kind of substances might have been in the air at these shows, but certainly that's a lot to ask of an audience.
Yeah. And I think it was a good choice to put it next.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go with anything really quiet. They went with a real barn burner. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Probably a really good time for something that's high energy, especially after Circle of Hands.
You can't even get up and go to the bathroom because the song started right up and it's going full. By the time they get back, it'll be done. So,
yeah, exactly.
So they have to wait anyways.
Yeah, well, you don't want to miss a note with these guys.
Here. I can't get a beer. I can't hear you. It doesn't matter. Just sit there, listen to music.
Okay, I can hear Mick a lot better now, so they must have found that balance because he's coming through really strong and really rivaling the keyboard.
I agree. I just changed my mix on this end too, so I could hear him a little better, but he got better anyway. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I think you're right, because I can separate what I'm hearing coming from you, just like the album is in full stereo, so I just crank them over to one side more. It came out really clear, but I think they did increase his volume or do something with EQ because all of a sudden he sounded great.
Yeah, and you know, there's only so much that you can do in post-production if it wasn't done live. So if they mixed this on the fly live and just realized he wasn't loud enough and they had to bump him up, you know, depending on how separated the tracks were that night, the mixing engineer for the album may not have had the option to do that. Otherwise, they certainly would have gone back from the beginning of the song and tracked it that way. Yeah, but they sound great. The backups are nice and powerful. Really, the thing that gets me about these guys is their ability to just nail these pitches right off the bat, not make a pitch and then walk their way up to where they need to be. They just come in right on the dot. You
experience the same thing I do with Ken's vocals now on the left-hand side instead of the right side.
I thought that might be the case.
Yeah, he's in the wrong year now.
But I'm wondering, and see, that's another argument to why I think this was probably on another night.
I agree.
But I can't imagine Lee is singing and playing this song. That's way too high energy for a drummer to be pulling off a lot of vocal melodics with this much energy going into the drums.
I don't know. I don't know. I always thought that he did that kind of thing. I didn't think that he would ever back off, especially in harmonies, because they're relatively easy to do as long as you have enough breath, you know. But his pitch would have been, you know, good.
Right, but thinking of his body motion, because he's playing da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and so his body is moving to that beat and then trying to hold. Well, actually, he's playing fills during that part.
That's a good point.
So I don't know physically how comfortable. I mean, of course, if they practice it, you can get good at it and be able to pull it off. So he might be singing. I am hearing a high harmony in there.
I just couldn't imagine they'd sacrifice his vocal if he could do it. I think they'd want him to do it because it really does help fill things in.
Oh, for sure. I'm just thinking of the physicality of it.
Yeah.
You know, so,
I get you.
Yeah.
But I don't hear him in the mix that high like we did before. I do hear Ken on the other side of my headphones. And Gary's doesn't sound as tight. His bass doesn't sound as tight either on this song. The tone of it, you know, the bassness of it isn't as bassy. It sounds more like the microphone's farther away from the speakers than it would have been before. It just doesn't have that same I don't know, oomph that it had on the other songs.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as beefy.
Yeah, it's not as crisp or compressed. It just seems like it's there, but it's not as spotlighted. You know, you can't really make it out as easily and as efficiently, I guess, as it was before. It just sounds different and a little more open.
Yeah, I would have liked it a little more bright, you know, the way that we were hearing it before. But now that you mention that, I could also say the same thing about Lee's toms. They're not cutting through the way they have been on previous songs.
Agreed.
Yeah, they're a little bit duller. So yeah, I'm just gonna say that's my vote. Is this is from a different night.
All right. Well, as long as you said it, I approve. Let's go. I have no argument.
Good. Oh, this blend is perfect. How is that sounding for you?
Perfect. As in most live tunes by them, I really like this version better than the original. What they're doing right now is so cool. It sounds great.
They're on fire in this song. I mean, they're giving it everything, and the sound of the guitar and keyboards, that balance is just it's absolutely flawless for me. But the energy that they're putting into this is great.
I agree. I can't imagine it being any better. You know, and other than the bass being a bit more tighter sounding, this is like really spot on.
Is this one that you've played live?
Not with my band. I haven't in other bands. I hit and a couple of Heep mentions. I think we did this. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like this is a song that you could really dial in. Like you have to show up for this song. like dial in your performance or call it in. You know, it like you have to really be there for this because it's just a freight train.
It's fun to play. It's real fast, you know, and grinding away on the neck of the guitar. And there's some fills and trills, and where he goes up the keyboard or up the fretboard and does his thing. And it's really a fun one to do. I just haven't played it in a long, long time. But I remember when we started having the conventions. First one I was at, first one I know of was in St. Louis. We had and then we had one in '99. I think we played them there as well, both with the song there. The song at both of those. I think I played on them. And we played it a couple of times after that with other bands, but not going on currently.
Yeah, it's definitely a good live song. And I love the little, like I said earlier, I love the little fill-ins that we're getting from Ken. It really feels like there's kind of an open canvas for him on this one. Pretty
much. He did a great job of improvising because it wasn't anywhere like this on the album. It's all different.
Right.
But I think it's better, you know, Daniel's.
It's on the album. It's very much, here's what we did on the verse. Here's how the verse is going to repeat. But live is where the song is really just going to take shape.
It is too.
Mm-hmm. For sure. What a killer sound Mick is getting there.
There it is. No, I've seen him do this every time I've seen them play. Never changed it. He does it the same way, exactly as he did that. He does it now.
Really, that's interesting.
Yeah. That whole passage, that's his thing in this song, and he never changed it. He does all his hand things that he always does, you know, and it's all full of energy. And he's looking at the crowd and smiling, and he never misses a beat, and he always does it just like this. It's awesome.
Well, it's so high energy and it just rips right through you. I mean, first of all, just the sound he's getting, that level of distortion is really just perfect. It's heavy, but it's not so heavy that you can't hear the definition in the notes, even when he's playing faster.
Yeah, he cranked up the pedal when he started it, and then I think halfway through he kind of clicks on the wah, but leaves it pretty well cocked for part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the very end, he starts using it for the trills coming down, but. It's never changed the notes. He's always done the same thing. And this sounds really good too. I mean, I have to admit, it's got a great sound during the solo.
Yeah, I think so too. And I also noticed that Gary got a little more balanced in the song. He's got a little bit more of that beefiness back. He doesn't still have that crispness that he had on some of the other songs, but he's a little more prominent now than he was earlier.
On the organ, I think what I noticed was when Mick started the very beginning of this, Ken did it with him for a couple of measures.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he had one hand doing chords and the other hand doing the notes that Mick was playing. And then he dropped the notes and just did a background for him to expand on for his canvas.
Right.
Mick had this open canvas of the organ going without anything going on with it. That was a good choice because it started off together with him, which kind of cemented where it was going to go or it was going. And then Ken just kind of like took off all the notes playing with Mick in unison and just gave wide open canvas and just charged away with it. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a nice change from partnering to the supportive role.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what I said, but you said it better.
Now, the one thing that's always bothered me about this song, and you know, I hate to say anything negative, but there are things that I don't like. And as much as I love the sound of the vocals during that last section there, the tutus, I've never understood that part. Like it seems like they're trying to say something instead of just going ah or la. But I've never been able to understand that choice. That's always bothered me. But the sound of it is fantastic. And what they did here, the pitches, everything, the unison. I mean, they are a band that is absolutely playing together as one unit.
And this song really showcases that. I mean, they work together on all the other ones. I think you have a good point. This is like really tight as far as the vocals and the instrumental part of it all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable to listen to. And you know, I've seen bands on stage where it's like everybody's having their own concert. They're playing the same song, but it's almost like everybody's playing it individually. To hear a band play so precisely together, and you just feel a oneness as you're listening to it. I have to say again, I think I've said it on pretty much every song we've listened to so far, Dave, is that this must have been amazing to be there for.
Can't imagine having a better concert experience, stoned or not, loaded or not. I mean, because this was like really, really a great series of tunes, really performed like, you know, top of the heap.
Yes.
No pun intended. So it must have been great.
Yeah, I have to agree. I can't wait to see what happens next.
That's better. Let's go.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!